A Navy petty officer has been indicted for leaking photos to China. Taiwan's Kinmen Islands go dark for 2 hours. Protesters rally against proposals to extend the operation of Taiwan's nuclear plants. Plus, a new treatment may give glaucoma patients a better outlook. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. A Taiwanese Navy officer has been indicted for leaking military intelligence to China. The Taiwan High Prosecutor's Office will take on the case. Our reporter Tiffany Wong has updates from Navy headquarters in Taipei.
A Navy petty officer, first class, has been accused of leaking sensitive information to what prosecutors are calling a Chinese business manager on 4 occasions since 2022. Prosecutors say the officer used his cell phone to take pictures of classified military personnel and base information at a Navy training center between April 2022 and February 2023. They said he was paid about $5,000 for that information. This is just the latest in a string of spying cases involving Taiwan's military. And China has been ramping up its efforts to recruit Taiwan's former military officers and even active duty soldiers to its spying efforts, either through leaking military intelligence or making Chinese nationalistic statements to affect morale. Now, Taiwan's defense ministry is pointing to these prosecuted cases as evidence of its efforts to root out leaks and spy activity. But as China tries to continue its efforts to influence Taiwanese society, the military will have to strengthen its defenses both inside and out. And as this latest case shows, they still have a lot more work to do. John Su, Scott Huang, and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A group of Taiwanese islands just off the Chinese coast has suffered a blackout. As John Van Trieste reports, the outage has put the island's uneasy position between nearby China and far-off Taipei in the spotlight.
Firefighters rescue people trapped in elevators as yet another blackout hits the country. Close to 50,000 households lost power for 2 hours after an equipment failure at a power plant. This fresh outage hit in a sensitive spot. The Kinmen Islands are a Taiwan-controlled outpost within sight of China's coast. Once the site of artillery battles with Communist China, the islands are peaceful today. But China still claims the islands, as it does the rest of Taiwan's territory. And its threat to back up its claims with force is especially keenly felt in Kinmen, most recently with maritime patrols around the islands. The islands have only one power plant, and this is the second time the islands have lost power in the last 4 years. Already, China helped supply the islands with water. Now some, including the lawmaker representing Kinmen, think it may be time to consider hooking the islands up to China's electric grid too.
金门离大陆地区非常的近。昨天这个大停电，很多金门就提出说，是不是要跟大陆接电？事实上，跟大陆接电是可以预防万一再有这样的情势发生的时候，我们可以确保不会有断电之余。所以其实是可以考虑的一条路。
But Kinmen is the site of conflict as well as cooperation, with military defections and disputes about fishing sources of friction between the two sides. Tuesday's blackout shows the tricky spot these islands are in, right on the border between Taiwan and China, and the sorts of choices residents must make as they navigate life on the edge. Eason Pan and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Legislators have been debating proposals by opposition lawmakers to extend the service life of Taiwan's nuclear power plants, although they have not yet reached any conclusion. Ahead of the discussions, protesters rallied outside the legislature. Louise Watt was there.
Protesters outside Taiwan's legislature, signalling their opposition to nuclear power as lawmakers push to extend the life of the country's aging nuclear plants.
但其实核电，我相信很多欧洲国家可能还是会把它当成是一个考虑的选项，因为觉得它比较减碳。但是其实对台湾来讲，它可能不一定是一个很适合的选项，因为台湾就像我刚刚讲，它在一个地震带上。
况且台湾的核电厂已经到了要退役的年限，我们的法规已经规定它就是要退役。
如果这个老旧的核能电厂延役，在安全上会有很大的问题，所以这个安全的问题是不是政治人物能够预测得到的事情。
Of Taiwan's 4 nuclear plants, 2 are already being decommissioned, and 1 was never put into service. The ruling Democratic Progressive Party wants Taiwan to be nuclear-free, and they have a policy to phase out nuclear power by 2025. But the legislature is now dominated by the opposition, and they say nuclear power is key to ensuring Taiwan's energy security, as well as reducing air pollution and carbon emissions. Should the opposition succeed in changing the law to keep the plants operational, the government has said it would respect that.
我们就是执行单位，立法院只要通过什么，我们就去执行什么。
Taiwan's last operational nuclear plant is due to start going offline later this month. For now, nuclear power accounts for 6% of Taiwan's electricity, down from 50% in the 1980s. As legislators debate the future of these power plants, they'll need to weigh up the increased demands on Taiwan's energy supply from tech and industry with public fears over nuclear safety. 给孩子们飞和家。Klein Wong and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The Defense Ministry says 37 Chinese military aircraft were spotted around Taiwan on Wednesday morning. 36 of the aircraft crossed the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. The Defense Ministry also observed 8 Chinese ships around Taiwan since Tuesday morning. The ADIZ is not Taiwan's sovereign airspace, but is used by the military for defensive purposes. Taiwan responded with its own aircraft, vessels and coastal defense systems. KMT lawmaker Lai Shibao has bowed twice in apology in the legislature for hitting 2 women with his SUV. The women were legally crossing the road on a green light on Tuesday when Lai turned left into the crosswalk and hit them. The 59 and 63-year-old pedestrians were hospitalized with bone fractures and cuts. Lai tested negative for alcohol at the scene. The accident is being investigated by Taipei police.
A 柱死角没有看到左边2位女士啊，我没有酒驾，而且是绿灯可以左转，就是因为天色太暗，这个没有看到人，就这样撞了。
Activists protested at an international basketball tournament against unequal pay for players. This comes after the Chinese Taipei Basketball Association announced that female players would be paid 40% less than their male counterparts for international commercial games this year. In a show of solidarity, the men have said they'll take the same pay as the women. Negotiations on the issue are ongoing. One of Taiwan's top research institutes is celebrating its 51st anniversary. All this week on TaiwanPlus, we're taking an inside look at what it does and some of its cutting-edge innovations. A new treatment is being developed for the eye disease glaucoma, which causes vision loss and blindness. Scientists at Taiwan's leading applied tech research institute say their new glaucoma treatment is a safer and more efficient way for patients to manage the condition. Joyce Zheng has more on this new option for better eye care.
After years of trial and error, a breakthrough for treating glaucoma. Scientists at Taiwan's Industrial Technology Research Institute, or ITRI, have developed a new dual-target medicine for the condition, which causes loss of vision and blindness. They say it manages high eye pressure more effectively and safely by targeting 2 enzymes, helping reduce clogs and drain eye fluid at the same time.
就算现在青光眼有一些治疗的药物，可是它对我们所谓的超高眼压，目前其实是没有药物可以治疗的。青光眼的药物其实很长一段时间都没有新的药物开发。
Division Director Felice Chang says her team was determined to find a solution for glaucoma since it's the leading cause of blindness in developed countries. A progressive disease, glaucoma occurs when the optic nerve is damaged. The odds for this increase with abnormal eye pressure and with age. In Taiwan, there are about 430,000 glaucoma patients, but the diagnostic rate among people over the age of 70 is about 50%. That means half of seniors with the condition don't know they have it. Now it's also being found in younger patients. Taipei-based eye doctor Ke Yujie says another major risk factor is nearsightedness or myopia, a common condition in East Asia.
We have a lot of myopic eyes in our population. For eye doctors, our worry is because we are facing an aging population and because of digitalization, so more and more patients are myopic. So it's definitely the prevalence of glaucoma will increase. In our daily clinic, some patients with 20 or 30s, they come to our clinic to want to make sure whether they have glaucoma or not.
Current glaucoma treatments cannot reverse damage to vision, but can stop it from getting worse. Still, a big problem, Ke says, is getting patients to follow instructions and use eye drops regularly at the same time each day.
If we have a better drug that have greater potency, greater tolerability, there will be definitely a way to persuade.
At the same time, Ke says eye doctors are switching their strategy, bringing in laser and surgical options earlier to give patients a better chance at getting glaucoma under control. As for getting better medication options, Chang and her team's eye drops are still undergoing clinical trial, but they've already snagged the Global Edison Award for Innovation and caught the attention of patients.
那也会就是在展场，就是很想要把我们的眼药水当成是纪念品就拿走，但这是不行。这也是让我们知道说，其实这个临床上面的需求，就是在一般的民众上面，其实是非常的迫切有这样子的需要。
Eye specialists are hopeful this new option will help thousands when it hits the market. Aside from meds, eye doctors still urge people to get regular checkups and also to look up from their phone and computer screens once in a while as the easiest form of eye care. Lucy Li, Joseph Wu, and Joyce Sun for TaiwanPlus.
Stay tuned to TaiwanPlus all week as we explore Outre's innovations. Coming up after the break, Taiwan's coral is under threat from a hungry predator. Stay tuned for details.
Hi, I'm Kevin. Welcome to Warwind trip. Let us take you on an amazing journey through the heart and soul of Taiwan's vibrant cities.
I'm currently fishing for the first time. This is so cool.
Taiwan offers something for everyone with 24-hour non-stop fun.
1, 2.
Discover a new city in each episode with exhilarating journey full of culture, discovery, and unforgettable moments. Wow, there's a monkey over there. Stay tuned for more Warwind trip in Taiwan.
Coming Sunday, July 14th, 9 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. US President Joe Biden made a forceful defense of NATO at the opening of the alliance's three-day summit in Washington, D.C. The meeting is expected to shore up support among NATO members for Ukraine in a US presidential election year. But as Chris Gorin reports, Biden's political fate is lingering over the event.
At this year's NATO summit in Washington, D.C., members of the 32-nation alliance have Ukraine on their minds. The country has been at war with Russia for more than 2 years and is under consideration for NATO membership. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is also attending as a non-member partner. He's seeking more military aid from alliance members. Aid U.S. President Joe Biden promised was coming in the form of more air defense systems. But Zelensky says he's concerned about something else that might affect both the alliance and the war in his country: November's U.S. presidential election.
Now everyone is waiting for November. Americans are waiting for November. In Europe, Middle East, in the Pacific, the whole world is looking to autumn, looking to November. And truly speaking, Putin awaits November too.
The U.S. is the largest contributor to the NATO alliance, and under Biden, the largest contributor of military aid to Ukraine. But Zelensky and others have wondered publicly if that might change if Biden's opponent Donald Trump, who has publicly expressed skepticism of NATO and praised Vladimir Putin, is re-elected. On the summit's opening day, the two candidates offered very different visions.
But make no mistake, Ukraine can and will stop Putin, especially with our full collective support. And they have our full support.
I didn't even know what the hell NATO was too much before, but it didn't take me long to figure it out, like about 2 minutes. And the first thing I figured out was they weren't paying 28 countries. And they said, sir, could I ask you, I said, you have to pay your bills. They said, sir, may I ask you a question? If we don't pay our bills, will you protect us from Russia? I said, no, I will not protect you from Russia. The money came in by the billions. It came in.
The summit comes as Joe Biden faces one of the most difficult periods of his presidency. After a disastrous presidential debate performance, his candidacy and ability to beat Trump are being questioned even within his own party. Zelensky says he hopes regardless of who wins the election, U.S. support for Ukraine and NATO will not change. But when it comes to Trump, he says he's in the dark about the Republican candidate's intentions.
I don't know very well him. You know, I don't know. I had meetings with him, and we had good meetings when he was the president, but we didn't went through the war with him. And only during the war you have to understand, can you count on somebody or not?
At an event that is supposed to show how united the 75-year-old NATO alliance is, questions over its future and that of Ukraine might have to wait until America votes in November for an answer. Delphine Chen and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has received Russia's highest civilian award. Russian President Vladimir Putin presented Modi with the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle in Moscow. Modi is on a state visit to Russia, his first international trip after his party, the BJP, secured a third term in power in June. The Indian leader is seeking to reinforce his country's historic ties with Russia, which in recent months has deepened its partnership with India's rival China. Modi expressed gratitude after receiving the award.
ये सम्मान केवल मेरा सम्मान नहीं है, यह 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों का सम्मान है। यह भारत और रूस की सदियों पुरानी गहरी मित्रता और आपसी विश्वास का सम्मान है।
The world's largest maritime military drills, the Rim of the Pacific exercises, are in full swing in the Western Pacific. 29 countries, including the US, are involved, but this year the Philippines has not sent a ship. The decision comes as it faces an increasingly assertive China in the South China Sea. From Hawaii, Jaime Ocon reports.
At this Coast Guard base in Hawaii, service members are just getting back from deployment. They were conducting maritime patrols in waters near Japan and the Pacific Islands and are now back for RIMPAC, the world's largest maritime drill.
Being out in the Pacific, some of the mission types we enforce over the high seas and waters is fisheries and ensuring everybody's EEZs is safe and clear, and not. But because with what's going on around the world, things start to pick up. So we are more forward deploying than other units because we're farther out in the Pacific.
These increased deployments come as tensions in the Indo-Pacific ramp up. In recent years, the Chinese Coast Guard has gotten more assertive around Taiwan and in the South China Sea. China continues to patrol the waters around the outlying islands of Kinmen and uses a combination of water cannons and dangerous maneuvers to assert Beijing's claims near the Philippines, with shocking images seen around the world of Chinese attacks on Philippine ships that have even injured Filipinos. The Philippines, which normally participates in RIMPAC, only sent observers this year, saying it couldn't spare any ships as it deals with Chinese aggression. But Philippine officials still believe their attendance is worthwhile.
This kind of interaction, mill-to-mill, person-to-person engagement with all of this military services and Coast Guard services is actually also a good avenue for us to really tell what is happening in the West Philippine Sea and how China is carrying out their operations, undermining our own position.
Other countries like Japan and Australia are also worried about China's actions in the region, lending weight to the Philippines' response. While the Philippine presence here at RIMPAC isn't as big as in previous years, the country hopes that the unity on display here at this multinational drill can still resonate in Asia. U.S. officials say that despite the Philippines not sending a ship, RIMPAC is not the only chance for cooperation. Last summer, the U.S., Japan, and the Philippines held their first ever trilateral Coast Guard drill, and there are plans to continue that partnership.
Coast Guard will still come to any partner nation and partner with them. We have great relationships with all our allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific, and even if they're not here at RIMPAC, we still like to partner with everyone.
While the U.S. boasts the largest military in the world and isn't directly affected by clashes in the South China Sea, it's smaller allies like the Philippines that must confront China's aggressive actions on a day-to-day basis.
We should not allow countries who are already considered to be a rising power to put smaller countries as somebody that is insignificant because they can do whatever they can. So this is the significance why we need the support of the international community.
With 29 countries participating, RIMPAC is the perfect opportunity for the Philippines to show that it has global support against China's claims in the South China Sea, support it'll need to stand up against one of the world's most powerful nations. Jaime Ocon in Honolulu, Hawaii for TaiwanPlus.
Stay tuned to TaiwanPlus for more coverage of RIMPAC in Hawaii. An independent investigation has found that the World Anti-Doping Agency showed no favoritism to 23 Chinese swimmers who tested positive for a banned performance-enhancing substance. The athletes were allowed to compete in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics after testing positive for trimetazidine, which can boost blood flow to the heart. The investigator concluded that there was no evidence that the agency showed favoritism towards the athletes. Several US-based athletic organizations have criticized the final ruling. An indefinite strike has been declared at South Korean tech giant Samsung. 6,500 members of the company's workers' union have joined the strike, demanding better pay and benefits. The union has roughly 30,000 members, about 1/4 of the firm's South Korean workforce. They originally planned to strike for 3 days, but union leaders said management showed no intentions of holding talks. Samsung is the most valuable company in South Korea, and the strike is the biggest in its history. An outbreak of crown of thorns starfish is eating away at the coral ecosystem near Taiwan's outlying Pratas Island. Island Nin looks at the scale of the emergency and how scientists are trying to control it.
These thorny starfish are causing massive damage to the coral ecosystem around Taiwan's outlying Pratas Island, located in the South China Sea.
我们判断这个已经发生超过1年了，这个珊瑚礁呢都已经吃过了，他们喜欢吃的几乎没有一个活的，剩下极少数，所以这个叫80%到90%死掉。
Crown of thorns starfish are native to the Indo-Pacific region. They're named after the toxin-tipped spikes that cover their bodies. These starfish have a voracious appetite almost exclusively for coral. That's put a taint on their reputation. Each adult starfish can eat up to its size in coral per day. Not only do they eat a lot, there's also too many of them. Scientists in Taiwan have reported more than 1,200 starfish every 10,000 square meters, far beyond the acceptable range of 15 to 30. Coral expert Zheng Mingxiu says the crisis could spiral out of control and have an even worse effect than climate change.
习惯海鲜的破坏比白化还要严重好几倍。习惯海鲜吃过的地方，他说是10年以上很难再生。
Scientists say the outbreak now stretches 4 kilometers off the coast of Protus Island, and the population is still expanding. With summer the starfish spawning season and no ocean diving in the winter, it's now a race against time to keep the outbreak from spreading further.
他们大概目前做法上也会参考郑老师的一个建议，他们会号召大概10几个人出去，也许利用个10天的时间了。
The team has been picking up the starfish one by one with tongues and using a specialized syringe to inject them with acid. The last mission removed only a small number of the crown of thorns population, about 1,800. As the outbreak continues to spread, scientists are calling for more awareness and resources to avert a coral crisis before it's too late. Chris Ma and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. Finally, take a look at these gorillas enjoying icy treats to cool off at Taipei Zoo. I'm Yin Khvat. Take care. See you next time.